Okay, bit of a challenge. And it's raining. I'm going to take the punt and check this way out because I have no idea. No, that's too steep. Road wouldn't have gone up there. Now the rain started, but I had the foresight this time to bring my jacket. Let's work out where this goes. There goes the road. The track heads in a completely different place to where I thought. Rephrase that, the track on the eastern side begins at a completely different place to where I anticipated. So I've walked up and over the tunnel. Very curious about where it comes out now. Got some interesting pieces of equipment left over from farming. So I was mistakenly under the assumption that the old road alignment came out just behind me here. It doesn't, so easiest way to follow it is from the western Tahora portal, which is exactly what the sign over here says, and there's plenty of parking over that way too. So this is the junction of Moki Road and Mangapapa Road, not to be confused with Mangaparo Road. This junction's quite important because Moki Road was the intended original route between Ahura Road, Tangarakau Gorge, and the coast at Tongapurutu. The Moki Tunnel was constructed to provide access to the settlement from the west. The residents of the small settlement were required to make payments towards the road construction. What is now known as the Moki Track remained on maps until sometime in the 1980s. It was never completed. The surveyed Moki Road continues through as a track and joins with Kiwi Road a kilometre from the Moki Tunnel on Moki Road, not the Moki Tunnel on Ahura Road on the Moki Range. This section of Moki Road also has a tunnel, which makes 3. That is for the future. This section of track is closed for lambing. In the 1980s, the missing link between the Tangarakau Gorge and the coast at Tongapurutu was finally completed. The missing link shown in red, now known as Mangapapa Road, connected the former loop road of Mangapapa Road and Okau Road. The light blue section of Mangapapa Road, now being known as Mount Damper Road, being abandoned at the Tangarakau Gorge. Time for some story time with Paul. So, the Moki Forest Rest Area has a special place in hell with me. Many years ago, about 2017 I suppose, it's about 7 years ago, after seeing the article in the newspaper about the Kiwi Road Tunnel, I set off from Wongamomina at 6:30 at night and headed in this general direction. The last time I'd been through, the road wasn't sealed, and so I weren't sure how far I could get with my lights or where I could possibly camp after here. And so I camped here with my bike leaning against this picnic table and my tent set up just here. I'd seen no cars since I'd been on the road for about an hour on Moki Road, Mangapapa Road. Tired, I settled into my tent and went to sleep, looking out at the stars. About 10:30 at night, I get awoken by a car in the distance, being driven within an inch of its life, and it comes screaming down the hill, over the bridge, and makes the hard 90-degree left-hand turn into this here rest area, which is when I had the "this is how I'm going to die" moment. Gone from a deep, relaxed sleep to a heart rate that was through the roof. There's no mobile reception here, and immediately you just think the worst. I'm not sure who got the bigger fright, me or them, but it's stuck in my mind ever since. And that was actually my first bikepacking trip post chronic pain, and it was a test trip to see what I could do, whether it was possible, and it was nice and safe and relatively close to home. Not knowing how I would go or how far I would get, that is why I decided to leave at 6:30 at night, but I seem to have a bit of a history of silly things like that. If you've read about the Ohura incident on the website, I didn't learn my lesson. It's a real shame. As much as I've always had weird vibes about this rest area, and I've visited here a number of times, really disappointing to see that there's obviously someone out here setting fires, because there was another one just up the road, and just generally doesn't get looked after by DOC or anybody else, despite the fact that it has got a little bit of history. Starting to rain now, but spent a little bit of time just having a bit of a clean up so that these artifacts don't get lost to the passages of time, and also if it looks unloved, you get shit like this happening. It's amazing what you can do in about half an hour, 40 minutes with a shovel and a machete and some gloves, because damn, there's a lot of blackberry in there. But now you can actually see can't actually see now because I didn't have the GoPro on before, but oh no, here we can. See, someone was here recent enough to paint the white poles but not clean away any of the vegetation so that these things can actually be seen. So that's a bit disappointing, but it's what it is. So peaceful out here, except in the middle of the night. That's okay. Well, let's carry on. Every time I touch something, I'm finding damn blackberry thorns in my fingers and hands that I've got to dig out. Should have put the gloves on earlier. But they're all there. Heading into Mount Damper Falls. Mount Damper Falls was discovered in 1900 by a government surveyor. However, up until the mid-80s, there was no road to get here. This area of Mount Damper, the government brought several smaller farms and re-subdivided into 4 farms for ballot blocks in the early 80s, which I imagine would have been one of the last of the ballot block systems. This is one of 2 waterfalls at Mount Damper. This is over the back. This is a little bit lesser known unless you go looking for it or you can hear it. This is the actual main Mount Damper Falls. Those falls were discovered by the government surveyor. They were rediscovered about 6 years later by a farmer when his sheepdog got dragged over them by a boar that it had latched onto. serves farms, and so it's only the incredibly steep section that is tar seal. About 20 years ago I came through here in my Tirana. The road hadn't been graded in a very long time. Spent the entire time straddling the wheel ruts because otherwise my exhaust was dragging on the gravel in the middle of the road. It was a hell of a drive. Land Rover is much more suited to this kind of thing. But this brings us to the end of the road that was put in to complete the connection to the coast at Tongaparutu. It's the way we've come. 37k that way to Ohura. That takes you over the Waitanga Saddle, which is absolutely spectacular. That is going to be another trip. We continue this way along Oakell Road. If we continue this way, we'll go past the turn off for Kiwi Road, and you head up Kiwi Road, and that comes to an intersection which brings you to Moki Road. However, we're not going to be going that way. Or are we? This old truck of Bedford is also a local icon. I'll see if I can find some of the photos of its evolution back into the earth. Kiwi Road. Never known it to have a sign. It just is. So this caught me out on the first time I ever came down here looking for this road with no map and no directions. And because it is used so infrequently, approximately 10 cars a day, this sign over here kind of means nothing. Ever seen Kiwi Road in terms of its condition. However, I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Just recently had some work done. back on the tar seal. So that was Kiwi Road, which brings us to Moki Road. And our end point. The original surveyed route followed the blue line, while today's route follows the red line. The road ended at Blackett Creek until sometime in the 1970s. This yellow section of road is the steep tar-sealed section of Kiwi Road. So Moki Road continues on down here, then joins the Moki track, which is technically Moki Road. It's just unformed. Either my memory is deceiving me as to where the fault is, or it's very hard to see when the rock is wet. Normally very, very easy to see. Definitely worth a look if you're passing through, just west of the tunnel. Looking so hard for it, it's around the next corner, but it occurs a few times along this rock face, but this one's much easier to see. That is the end of Moki Road. Brings us to Urati Road. You can go left or right. Right will take us out to the highway. Left will take us through the Urati tunnel. Prior to the completion of the tunnel, which sits just up there, the road used to go around what is now Putts Road. Came out at the bottom of the hill, just before, or after as you come up the hill, the farmhouse. You can actually make out a little bit of the road alignment where it used to come. It's a much more direct route. Not quite sure where the episode's going to go from there. I'm going to go and find somewhere to stay for the night and slowly make my way home tomorrow. But if you've enjoyed that, there's definitely going to be some more beyond the highway. Got a number of things to explore, and every time I come out here I find more, but also reminds me of why I love this area so much. So you know what to do. Nothing's ever that straightforward. Still got Karka Road. So we don't make this awkward. I really am hanging up this time.